Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Today, it's about maybe 5 days later than it should have been. I should have done, well, 4. It's the 5th of September. Don't want to wish the days away. We got Champions League tomorrow. But in this video today, we're doing a tier list of all of Chelsea's summer signings. You might be thinking, well, surely you don't want to be negative towards players that have just signed. Not really, but I do want to rank them in terms of looking at what I think they're going to bring to the squad, what we've already seen, and then the future as well. So the tiers that we've got, first 11, now and later. This means that they've been bought in my opinion, as guaranteed starters. Fixes a problem means that we bought somebody in that we needed to because we were short in that position for the future, and then uncertain, as in the 1 or the 2, the 3, who knows how many it's going to be, that I'm not entirely sure if it is the right move. Before we get into it though, the last episode of The Last Fan Standing, the boys were ranking Premier League defenders. Now, you're going to take a look at this, I know you are, and you are going to disagree with what they have done. Check this out.
Poor are the level of centre-backs in the world right now.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about how
the level of centre-backs is so poor. Back in the day, yeah, you had Ledley King. These are the ones that are like, forget Rio and Terry and you know,
Vidic.
all Carvalho and all these Vidic and all these players, yeah. You had like Ledley King and that, Jonathan
Sol
Woodgate,
Campbell.
like playing lower down the league, Sol Campbell.
Richard Dunn.
Obviously not lower down the league for Sol Campbell.
How Thiago Silva is not in the top tier and Ruben Diaz is absolutely beyond me. But you know what? Do me a favour. Head over to the link in the description, check out the full episode, and let them know in the comments that they needed the Chelsea boy on that episode to defend what is a debaucherous decision. I don't know if debaucherous is actually a word, but it sounds like it should be. Link is in the description. Head over and check it out. We begin. Player number 1 that we're going to discuss is Marc Cucurella. So, Cucurella, I have put in tier number 2. The reason I've put him in tier number 2 is because what we saw from Benjamin bloody Chilwell at the weekend tells me that Thomas Tuchel is going to realise that Ben Chilwell is the number 1. I think when Cucurella came in, there has been, at the early stages of this season, Cucurella has been in over Ben Chilwell in the left wing-back position. He's down to the fact that Chilwell is still returning from a very serious injury. So the fact that Cucurella has made such a good start to his Chelsea career, this one's kind of unfair. I say fixes a problem because when you lose both Alonso and Emerson, as much as a week ago we had too many left wing backs, when you lose Alonso and Emerson, we don't have enough. So with Cucurella coming in, it is a brilliant backup in left wing back. And it's exactly what Chelsea have needed in terms of Manchester City. When you look across their squad, you look at how many Premier League titles they've won in recent years. They have got multiple players in multiple positions. So if anyone's injured, or Pep Guardiola, which he does like to do, he likes to rotate things, he likes to change things up, there's always someone available. And Chelsea need to be striving and aiming for that level of depth. And I think the great thing about Cucurella is we know he can play in that left centre-back position. We've not really seen it so much yet because he has been used as a left wing-back, but after Chilwell changed the game against West Ham, I think that we're going to see Ben Chilwell back in the starting 11 at home to Fulham in the Premier League at the weekend. So Marc Cucurella, I think, is a brilliant signing, but to say that I think he's guaranteed to start in every single game, I think after that Chilwell showing, I can't be fully convinced exactly by that. And now that we've got Koulibaly, Silva and Fofana, then I think that maybe Cucurella left centre-back could well only be if there's injuries, suspensions or whatever, with those 3 looking pretty solid. Well, not fully solid yet, but they'll get used to each other. The second player that we're going to talk about is Carne Chukwuemeka, who we signed from Aston Villa for 15 million. The great thing about this deal was that it showed that despite the way that social media and journalism now has gone in football, Chelsea managed to get this deal done under the radar. And I think throughout this video, it's very important that we reference just how well Todd Boehly has managed to come into the club in such a short window of time. And we're not only executing signings to come in and replace players that we've lost and to improve the squad and first team, but signings like Carne Chukwuemeka, who's already got a bit of Premier League experience from last season at Aston Villa. But Chelsea are not just looking for the now, we're looking for the future. And I think, again, bringing it back to what we said throughout the entire transfer window, the goal has got to be for Chelsea to be competing with Man City, to be competing with Liverpool. 6 games into the season, we're considering that we've had a bad start to the season, really. If we all think about the way we've played and the points we've got on the board, United are already ahead of us, but we are ahead of Liverpool. So I think Chelsea are definitely heading in the right direction. I've put Cucoura in category number 3. I think he is going to be a quality player. And I think when we look at Billy Gilmour being sold, whether we think that's a good idea or not, a lot of you let me know your thoughts on that in the comments of the last news video we did. But I personally think that could be a mistake. But when we look at the players we've got coming in, Cucoura is a very exciting talent for the future. He goes into tier number 3. The next player, Kalidou Koulibaly. This one is an interesting one. And some of you, a lot of you, I think, are going to disagree here. I've put Koulibaly in tier number 2. The reason I've done that is because after the first 6 games of the season, there is a bit of a concern with Koulibaly, and I'm going to tell you what that is now. Sometimes when he's got the ball at his feet, I'm nervous, and when Rudiger first signed for Chelsea, I had the same kind of thing. I thought he looks like he's sometimes a bit concerned that the ball's at his feet, and there is panic passes. There is recklessness with the red card that we saw at Leeds United, which evidently put Chelsea in a much tougher position in that game and made it harder for us to come back. And I do want to also say that what will go under the radar, because we think now that in replacing Christensen and Rudiger with Koulibaly and Fofana, Koulibaly is a top-level centre-back. However, from what I've seen in the early stages, wonderful goal against Tottenham. I also want to reference Trevor Chalobah here, because I think Trevor is a quality centre-half who I think actually is underrated at Chelsea Football Club. So I've put Koulibaly in tier number 2 because it certainly fixes a problem. Left centre-back, Rudiger, he's a top-level player, he's got experience in the team. But I do think, as the season goes on, we're going to see Trev given opportunities because of the sheer massive games that Chelsea are playing in such a small window of time before the World Cup begins on the 21st of November. So I'm very happy with the signing of Koulibaly, but I will say, from the early stages, despite the goal against Spurs and a couple of decent performances, but also some shaky bad ones too, I'm not fully convinced that, as much as he probably will end up playing pretty much every game, don't write off Trevor Chalobah. So Koulibaly's in tier number 2. Moving into Wesley Fofana. First game, yes, he did make mistakes. There were some people that said that I said something about he didn't make mistakes in that game at the weekend against West Ham. Maybe I did. I didn't watch it back, but I certainly saw the mistake that led to West Ham's disallowed goal. Fofana signs, within a couple of days he's playing 90 minutes of football at Chelsea. So for me, that tells me that Thomas Tuchel sees Wesley Fofana as a guaranteed starter every game. So he goes into tier number 1. What we've bought with Fofana is not just the future, it is the now as well. There were moments in that game against West Ham where immediately he looked so comfortable in that Chelsea shirt. We saw slide tackles, we saw standing blocks, tackles. Positionally, I think Fofana is more than intelligent enough to be able to build that chemistry with Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Chalobah, whoever it is in that back 3. Even Azpilicueta as well. We can't write off Azpi just yet, despite the poor performance against Southampton a week ago. But I think Fofana's a wonderful signing. I think the fact Chelsea managed to get this done for, in the end, less than 70 million quid, I think is brilliant. And I think the little chess game that Leicester were playing with us throughout the transfer window, Chelsea have ended up doing well here. And I think when you look at Fofana's immediate statistics in the Premier League throughout his time at Leicester, I think Chelsea know that this is a player that could potentially be a first 11 player for many years to come. We could be talking in excess of 10 years if Chelsea continue to build, and Fofana, which I think will become a world-class centre-half, I think he will. But Chelsea need to make sure we keep building so that these young talents don't see Chelsea as a stepping stone. We don't want Fofana to be looking at Barca, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, who's obviously French, but Wesley Fofana is a Chelsea boy. Apparently supported him as a kid, and the fact he's here now, he looks delighted. The way he conducts himself in interviews, very impressive indeed. Tier number 1 for Wesley Fofana, in my opinion. Moving into the first in the uncertain category. Now, I think this could come across as a little bit unfair, but I've given Zakaria tier number 4. The only reason I've done that is because despite the ability that he has, he was a very, very solid player at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Thomas Tuchel's obviously seen the way he played in Germany. He spoke about it. And then at Juventus, also, injuries. What I do like about Zakaria is he's very progressive. He can attack. And I think that despite it screaming out Saul Niguez, loan, late loan, it does fix a problem. That is accurate. But the injury record of Zakaria is concerning for me. It's good for Chelsea because loan with an option to buy means that if it doesn't go well, there's no obligation. Chelsea don't have to spend the 30 million euro at the end of the loan. We don't have to do it. So if it doesn't work, Chelsea don't really lose out on anything. And when Thomas Tuchel was making the comments about central midfielders, defence-minded, attack-minded, whatever, when he was making those comments after the game against Southampton, where Chelsea still desperately needed to do business, we tried for Edson Alvarez. We also tried, apparently, for Southampton's player who scored against us, Lavia, for 50 million. Southampton turned it down. Zakaria comes in. We got the deal done incredibly fast, which is very impressive at that stage of the transfer window. But I do think that injury record could be a problem. Will he fit into the Premier League? We'll have to wait and see. We move into Raheem Sterling, tier number 1. Raheem Sterling, 3 goals in the first 6 Chelsea Premier League games of the season. Raheem Sterling, at this moment in time, is still kind of feeding off scraps in this Chelsea team because we still don't seem to have that kind of fluidity in attack, which means that Sterling isn't getting the same number of chances yet as he was at Manchester City. One prediction I'll make, Raheem Sterling, Reece James, those two linking up together. I'm not going to say Son and Kane-esque because those numbers are unbelievable. I'm seriously talking just about numbers here. I love both Reece James and Raheem Sterling far more than Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Obviously, I'm a bloody Chelsea fan. But I do think Sterling brings that leadership, brings a little bit more creativity in the sense of he's not frightened to try and take players on. We've already seen him score a goal from outside the area as well. And Chelsea needed that in somebody. And I think Raheem, the fact it was 47.5 million, I also think is brilliant business for Chelsea. I think City have underestimated the value here of Raheem Sterling. But I also think that Sterling was bold enough to make the claim that he wanted to go to another big challenge because he knew that he wasn't guaranteed minutes in Pep Guardiola's side. I think that is very bold, but I also think it shows the ambition that Sterling has. He's not finished yet. He's not ready to be a bit part player. And I think he's come into Chelsea, and what we've seen, Tuchel keep picking him, and he's scoring. He's a first 11 for now and the future too. Moving into Slanina. This one is evidently tier number 3 because he's currently not at the club. He's at Chicago in the MLS. And in January, depending on what happens with Mendy or Kepa, I probably think he'll go on loan again. Marcus Bettinelli is still at the club too, I believe. So Slanina, I'm seeing man of the matches on Twitter. I'm seeing highlights where this guy's the real deal. And I think Chelsea, again, the same as Chukwuemeka, it is brilliant that the business that Bowley has conducted this summer is not just for the now, but building for the future as well. We're not just trying to come in to paper over cracks with signings from a depleted squad with players leaving from last season. We want to build. We want to be competitive. And the money that we've spent this summer, it's important that we justify this here. Todd Bowley, there was absolutely no guarantee when he came in that he was going to spend as big as he has. We needed to replace certain players, but we've done that with world-class Koulibaly, world-class potential Wesley Fofana, Cucoura, amazing backup, Sterling. You know, we have really bought in quality players here. We haven't even started with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang yet. Slanina is in, oh, that was a bit of a mouthful. Slanina is in tier number 3. We finish with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Because he's 33 years old, I can't stick him in tier number 1 because there's also no guarantee that Aubameyang's going to hit the ground running because of the Chelsea striker conundrum, problem. Do we play the right way so that a number 9 can bag the kind of goals that a number 9 should be banging at a club like Chelsea? This is the debate that we need to go over, that Tuchel needs to work on and address because Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a proven goal scorer, was a proven goal scorer at Arsenal and Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund before he joined Arsenal as well. The issue with Aubameyang is that yes, that big personality, we saw and if you've watched the documentary on Amazon around Arsenal, you can know that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang can be a difficult character to manage if he isn't in favour. And we know with Tuchel, he's gone with Kai Havertz. Armando Broja has just signed a new 6-year deal as well until 2028, which is brilliant news, by the way. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming video. But Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang fixes a problem. Chelsea needed a proper striker. Because of his age and because of my concerns about the way we play, I'm not saying that Aubameyang is 100% going to solve our issue. I think he's got a brilliant option, and I said it completely during the transfer window when we were linked with Ronaldo. We were linked with Aubameyang. We get Aubameyang. Quality player, proven records, and I just hope we manage to find a way to fit him in. Yes, he can also go on the left too. 33 years old, it could be a couple of years. I just hope that Aubameyang hits the ground running. Maybe we see him play against Dynamo Zagreb. We'll find out today from Tuchel's press conference ahead of our opening Champions League game. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with the tiers that I've given these players in this video? Do you think I've been a little bit too skeptical, pessimistic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out the Last Man Standing episode. Link is in the description. Come on, you Blues.